This is Tech Unmuted, the podcast of modern collaboration, where we tell the stories of how collaboration tools enable businesses to be more efficient and connected. With your hosts, George Shainstein and Santi Cuellar. Welcome to Tech Unmuted.
So this is a live episode of Tech Unmuted from Microsoft Ignite in Seattle.
Literally live. We are in Seattle.
We are together.
By the way, I am freezing.
And I am not.
He told me, let's go record a podcast. He didn't tell me it was going to be outside. So, but this is great. We're in Seattle. We're at Microsoft Ignite. We are live, and the energy here is phenomenal. Amazing energy. So what you hear today?
So we heard a lot of stuff. There were a lot of chip announcements.
Oh yeah.
AI-enabled stuff, data center stuff, right? That was pretty cool. But the thing that really came through was the different things that have launched with Copilot.
Oh yes, yes. So one thing that I heard that was a big takeaway for me was the whole ability to create your own copilots using what they call Copilot Studio. So
yep.
Imagine now having a GUI driven interface, which is a low code interface, right? We all know about low code, to generate and create your own copilots that are grounded in your specific data for very specific needs. And I saw an example where they actually were taking kind of like a virtual agent flow in the screen and creating a copilot for that specific virtual agent. Phenomenal stuff. You know what? It's not just Copilot. They're also allowing you to do AI Studio. They're using that studio word again to create your own AI modules.
And the key on this is enabling businesses.
Right? Yeah.
But it's not just the business as a whole, like IT creates this thing and hands it off, although that's one of the use cases. It allows individual users to go in a really low code environment and
absolutely
build workflows to enable their daily work better. One of the key things, because there's a lot of questions of should I pay for Copilot at all, right?
Right.
Service is $30 a month. There's a study that Microsoft commissioned. We'll try to dig it up and drop it in the link on this. But what they found was that on average, people are saving 10 hours a month by using Copilot.
Oh, for sure. I believe that. I mean, think about all the stuff, all the productivity you get. Did you see some of the examples they had on the video, how people are plugging in different prompts? Yeah. I'm like, I want to use that prompt. Like, I want to write some of those down, especially on Excel. The Excel one is phenomenal. Think about how many times you're trying to figure out a formula.
Oh yeah, exactly. Or pivot tables.
Or pivot tables.
I mean, I can do pivot tables, but it takes me forever to set them up.
Did you see the one example they use, like the example of an electric car company and how they can build their own copilots to alert them when a charging station needed maintenance, and all this process was automated through their own copilot. That stuff is mind blowing. Like that tells you, George, it's your limit is basically your imagination at this point. You have the studio, you have all the elements in Azure. What do you want to build? Right? What do you want to build? And if you can figure that out, there's nothing stopping you at this point.
And even beyond just the builds, they did a couple demos on the different capabilities of Copilot directly in sort of your daily work, right?
Yeah.
One of them is plugged into a lot of the standard interactions you do. So my initial impression was, hey, it's sort of like GPT plugged in and it looks at an email and says, hey, why don't you respond with this? But what it actually does is it looks at everything that you do and how you interact.
That's right.
And it makes the email sound like you.
That's right.
Which is the most amazing piece.
Which is where
the savings really come in.
Absolutely.
And we've talked about Teams Premium before, which gives some automation as an example in meetings where it's tracking meeting notes and a couple of other things, but it's post-production. It's
creating AI-generated notes, creating suggested tasks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But now with Copilot running against the meeting, it actually does it in real time. So you can see the meetings being created. You can correct Copilot and say, you missed that task that Santi took, or you missed that comment that Santi made, and build those into the meeting notes again in real time. You can actually go back in after the meeting now with AI and ask it queries on what happened in the meeting. So if you missed it, and you have specific
Get
questions,
caught up.
you don't have to search
That's
through.
right.
You
Yeah.
just ask the question.
Yeah. So listen, they made very powerful statements today, huh?
Yeah. Amazing.
First of all, did you notice the use of the term copilots in plural?
Yes.
Right? It's no longer just copilot. It is copilots because you're able to build your own, they made it plural. We can have copilots everywhere. They also said something that blew me away. Did you hear the world's computer?
Yes. I'll put that in a post today, actually, on LinkedIn.
I love it. So
that.
basically, they've built the world's computer, and so Azure, right, being the platform for that. They are really, listen. We said it from back in May when we were in Vegas, and they announced it, and we said that they're throwing everything at AI and everything at Copilot. Didn't you hear that today?
And it is Copilot.
It is Copilot.
It's not.
No.
It's interesting because I was at Gartner a couple of weeks ago, Gartner Symposium, and it was AI.
Yeah.
It is that here, but it's in the form of Copilot.
That's correct.
It's effectively your personal and your business assistant that's really going to
100%.
enable what you do.
What powers it behind the scenes? Yes. ChatGPT-4 powers it. DALL-E 3 powers it. You see all the partners that are involved in building these massive machines. Did you see the compute power?
Yep.
The compute power. So those of you who love computers, your head would have spun today because the chips, new chips, racks, pre-built racks with amazing cooling systems for AI purpose-built data centers. All this was announced today. It's like you couldn't keep up with it. It was
and
crazy.
Massive drive for efficiency, right? There's speed increases with the chipsets, massive, 47%, like generation over generation increases. But a real focus by Microsoft on environmental responsibility, both in chip production
and power usage,
the power usage of the chips, and then they're actually sources of power. They're effectively trying to be
zero carbon.
Zero carbon by 2025,
which is outrageous when you think about a data center. How do you pull that off? They're doing it. They're on track to do it by, was it? I think it was 2025.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, we're just getting started. Like, we're only a couple hours into this, and we're going, dude, how do we keep up with this stuff? And this was just like, honestly, we just started a couple hours ago. The information that's flowing is very fluid. It is significant. AI is the driving force. There's nothing else being talked about other than AI and Copilot and how literally it is changing not only how we do work, but it's changing the world. It really is.
So we're going to close this one out.
Yep.
We'll come back probably with a couple different things over the next few days. I think maybe we'll sit down again this afternoon and talk about some of the conversations you've had at our stand.
Great conversations.
What those sound like, and we'll see what announcements come out tomorrow. But take a look at this one today, and we'll be back again soon.
Stay tuned. We're not done. We're just getting started. See you all soon.
Welcome to day 2 of Microsoft Ignite in Seattle. Another live episode here of Tech Unmuted. We want to talk today about a little bit of what we heard in the keynote today. A couple things stood out for sure. So first thing was Copilot Studio.
Yeah.
So Santi, I'll let you hit on that one a little bit.
Yeah. So Copilot Studio is basically a low-code platform where you can develop your own Copilots, right? And right away, from a marketing standpoint, my light bulb went off. I know yours went off too.
Yep.
There's an ability for us to add a Copilot where we can tie it to different sources, like for example, HubSpot or Salesforce, right? And now we can ask questions of Copilot inside of Teams, and guess what it's doing? It's tying through APIs to that Copilot we created to draw a generative answer on those sources, whether it's HubSpot or SalesLoft or Salesforce.com.
Yep.
So man, this is great because think about it. Our team can now ask Microsoft Teams, Copilot, hey, can you tell me when was the last time we contacted this customer? Or what exactly is that the customer was asking for in the last meeting? And it will go to the notes and all these sources and generate a response.
Or what are all the touch points? So today,
what are the touch points? Yeah, exactly.
It's although all of these things are integrated, right? They talk to each other, they pass data back and forth. You don't have full visibility.
You have to go dig.
Yeah. I mean, in Salesforce alone, you could go through multiple tabs on a contact record, and then within the contact record, a bunch of detail about what the proposal was, what the conversations were. All of those streams can be aggregated with Copilot. and get a complete integrated view
Yeah.
with control over the way that the data is presented back as well, so that you get a consistent response.
Yeah.
Which oftentimes, if you use regular GPT-4 today, you get a different response every time you ask the same question.
Correct. So I really like that. I think that's a project we should take on as soon as we can to generate for our own sake, our own Copilot. So I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, so think of Copilot Studio as another Power Platform, right? Same concept. I can create an app. I can create custom workflows in Power Platform. Okay, well, great.
Yep.
Same exact kind of idea, but now I can create my own Copilots. And they have APIs where you can tie into different data streams. One of the things that I found really helpful was, okay, so in the Microsoft world, there's all sorts of different databases or type of data, right?
Yep.
You have things like, for example, the Dataverse. You have graphs, right? You have lakes. You have the One Lake. You have Snowflake. You have all these types of different types of data. They all do something different. They all live in different buckets, different places. Well, Microsoft just released well, they had it in preview, so they announced that now it's GA.
Yep.
Right? Microsoft Fabric. What I didn't realize, though, was that not only can I tap into these different types of databases and data queries within the Microsoft ecosystem, but I can tie into databases outside of the Microsoft ecosystem, including Amazon, for example. So I can grab an S3, bucket from Amazon with data and tie it into the Fabric. And what Fabric does, it brings everything together. So now I can point Copilot to that and get me generative answers based on all that data, including data outside of
and more quickly, right?
Yes.
More quickly, with a set of controls around security and compliance and all kinds of other things that you would want from a data standpoint.
Yeah, for sure, right? You can then take Purview, for example, which is an approach a platform you use to secure your data, and it'll work with that as well. You can also go to advanced data features in the Azure cloud that you can further enhance your encryption. But the fact that you can take the Fabric, which is now the Microsoft Fabric, which is now available for general consumption, and tie in all these different buckets, including external buckets, and then tie that to your custom Copilot you just created. I said it yesterday. The limit here is your imagination. Like right now, and I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm in the driver's seat.
Oh yeah. So there's been a shift, right? The push on all this today has been around low code.
Yeah.
There was a new term I heard today, pro code.
Well, yes.
Right?
So that you know what that is? It's traditional programming.
Yeah.
That's what now they just call it pro code. So you have low code for dudes like you and I, right? We're not programmers. But then when you do need that actual programmer to step in, the developer, that's the pro code. Yeah, I heard that too. That's a new term now.
And there were a couple more things. So you mentioned PureView, right? So PureView gives you the ability to set a bunch of controls around data, how it's used, where it's used, what's visible, what's not visible, but it stays persistent across where the data moves.
That's correct.
So once you're within the Microsoft environment, you change the way that you interact with data, and you reduce the level of integration effort and other things. There was another thing they said today, which I thought was pretty interesting. The CIO wants to be the chief information officer. What the CIO does not want to be is the chief integration officer, right?
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Move to a platform, right? So you do a platform play, and you get out of that requirement to be cross-integrating, worrying about how data is used, worrying about the cost of multiple different platforms integrated together, and then not really having the visibility across that data that you would want. You never get to it when you do something other than platform play.
That's correct. Yeah, I love the Lego story.
Yeah.
So Lego, of course, had everything, they were in control of everything on-prem, everything on-prem. And they saw that, hey, moving to something like Azure platform, all of a sudden, not only can they expand and scale, but they can do so much more now because they have tools at their fingertips versus trying to figure it out on their own. It was counterproductive. Listen, the on-prem day, we've known this for a while. That's an old approach to technology.
It's not efficient. It's not resilient.
No, it's not.
You can never make it.
You never
what
can.
You're going to get from a cloud.
Not only that,
solution.
you're never going to be up to date on technology. Look at Microsoft, man. You can't keep up with them.
Yeah.
So if you're already part of the Azure cloud, you're benefiting from all of their innovation.
Yep.
Why wouldn't you want to be there? I mean, to me that makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah.
Man, there's so much going on. These last 2 days, it's been just information packed. Like my head's still spinning from yesterday. Today was a little different though, right? Yesterday was very much about maybe the end user being empowered and the end user getting involved with Copilot. Today was really more of a developer's perspective
and data integration and how do you work across data sets. Will, the last thing we had on our list we want to talk about today is the Azure AI content safety, which is the ability to put a lot of controls around what is presented. You would potentially put more controls over data that goes externally in your organization, maybe a little less on what's used within your organization. But again, you can control the presentation and get a much more consistent outcome than you get, again, with something like a GPT-4 today.
Yeah. So it's funny you should mention that, because in Teams, we now have a few new meeting options in Teams. And so one of them is actually the town hall, which is replacing the old live events option that was there. So that live events going away. But there's one, if you look carefully, there's one in the drop down now called control content. So it is a pre-configured meeting where you can have certain safeties and policies around the content you're about to share, including watermarks, and all that's obviously being driven by Azure. So they were smart about it. They basically created a template for you already. So if you're going to share very sensitive information, you pick that and schedule a meeting around that. It's really cool.
And its sensitivity, one of the interesting things as well was it's even about copyrighted material. So it will be able to strip out and identify stuff that's copyrighted and keep that out of the presentation that goes back.
I find that fascinating.
So hey, with that, we're going to close it out for today. Beautiful day. Much warmer out here.
I am not cold today. It's nice and cool. The sun is out. The sun's out. In Seattle. It's beautiful. This is amazing. Listen, Seattle's such a beautiful city. I've never been here. It's the first time. I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to spending more time here. Folks, we are going to bring this podcast to an end. Not because I have a producer tell me to do so, but because we have so much to do. Like we're just getting started with day 2. But listen, this is a good time to remind you to subscribe. Subscribe to Tech Unmuted. Do it right now. Just subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. And until next time, remember this: stay curious, stay connected. See you all soon.
Visit fusionconnect.com/techunmuted for show notes and more episodes. Thanks for listening.